So that one done, right? So you can verify this. I mean, whether this is written correctly. Say sometimes overlap is there in the book. Make sure that this, if it is written here, nitrogen 65 gas 1 atmosphere is the reference state. Then if there is any stream, this stream in the process, then that stream enthalpy should be 0. So like this one. So they have taken that nitrogen here, which is in the inlet. This is the inlet conditions is at 65 degree 1 atmosphere. So that's why they have taken this as a reference state. For that, enthalpy is 0. And the other one you have to calculate with respect to this conditions. So other condition is nitrogen at 20 degrees Celsius 5 atmosphere. So you have to find out enthalpy change from reference state to this condition. That comes to minus 1.26. Well, that's another part of calculation. So how to do this calculation that we have seen in the 5 parts. So 5 part is the first one is the only change in pressure. So you can divide the entire enthalpy change into small path. Path is up to us because enthalpy change does not depend on path. It's a state function. So initial and final state are fixed. As long as that 2 points are fixed, in between you can add as many path as you like. I mean, whatever is the convenient and the data are available. So one thing again I want to repeat here: change in pressure at constant temperature, everything is 0, delta U, delta H, except solid and liquid, for which we can approximately take it as a V cap delta P. For all other ideal gases close to ideal, all this and all other liquid solid, delta U is always 0. There is no effect of pressure. As long as temperature is constant, you don't have to worry about delta U, delta H, except for solid and liquid, where there is a calculation you need to do it. If you do actual calculation of this, where it's written approximately 0, you will get some value which is very small, negligible compared to other enthalpy changes in the process. So it comes in the range of 10 raised to minus something, minus 4, minus 5. So that's why we ignore it. Next, second one is temperature change. Well, it's most important one, right? So you have delta U, delta H calculation. And for that, you have to remember this set, temperature change calculation for gases and liquid solid. And third one, second one, third one is phase change. So phase change is also again one value only. There is nothing else, only enthalpy of vaporization. So if you have this enthalpy of vaporization, that's it. You know how to, you have to be at that condition. It means at given boiling point, at given pressure, for which delta H we are given. So you can calculate the enthalpy change for only phase change. So we have seen some example, 3 options and how to do the calculation. Yes, okay. Now the rest of the examples, I suggest you read it. It's in the reference books based on this topic base where we are talking about enthalpy change in the process without reaction. So here there is no reaction. So only temperature change, pressure change, phase change. 3 things will come. So they have given several examples in textbook, reference book. I have posted the slide so you can again go through it so you understand. One example is given on heat exchanger also, so you can understand how they have done the calculation. I will revise this again when, if you have any doubt, we'll do that revision. This will come back later. Mixing is a small part, enthalpy change of mixing. Let's go to reaction, main important one. So we know that, okay, the standard first definition is the standard heat of formation. So which is defined as the formation of a molecule from its elements, right? So the formation reaction is nothing but a reaction in which the compound is formed from its element, which occurs naturally. So if you have naturally occur, it's in a typically one of the most stable condition that you have to take it, and based on that they will carry out a calculation of enthalpy of formation. So enthalpy of formation of different components are available at standard condition 25 degrees Celsius 1 atmosphere, and that is nothing but a simple, you can estimate it using the you have the good instrument where you can exactly measure that when you take 1 kilomole of C, 25 degree, 1 atmosphere, and mix it with 1 kilomole of O2, for example, at this temperature pressure, and you mix them together and carry out the reaction so that you get 1 mole of CO2 at same temperature and pressure, maintains its temperature pressure. To do that, how much is the energy change occur here? That if you can measure it accurately, that gives you the value of Q, which is in our case, it's the enthalpy of reaction. So this is an exothermic reaction, so you will get minus 393.5 kilojoule will be evolved from this process, and which is nothing but the enthalpy of formation of CO2 for one based on 1 mole of C which is reacted, or 1 mole of CO2 which is formed. Right. So this table is available in your textbook, reference books. You must read what is the meaning of the note are written here. What is the meaning of both the values? So one value is this delta H F dot cap, cap for specific, F formation, dot for standard condition. And there is another table also, another column given here is the delta HC dot cap. So this is the enthalpy of standard enthalpy of combustion, heat of combustion at 25 degrees Celsius. So they have given for different components, and it's also given for different state. Okay, so the first part is the Hess's law. I think you have done it already in chemistry in school and other places. So you know, for example, I'll go to the reaction that you have one reaction C plus O2 gives you CO2. So enthalpy evolved during this process, we can measure it. Similarly, we take CO, N half O2 reacted gives you CO2. You can also measure the enthalpy of the change in the enthalpy of this process, the Q. So if you want to find out enthalpy of formation of CO, you can use this two equation, just two reactions, and you can manipulate it like mathematics. So for example, if I reverse this second reaction, so it will become CO2 on this side, CO on this side. So this will become negative, become positive. So in that case, we can add this two reactions, subtract these two reactions to get the enthalpy of formation of CO. So for example, I can write the final equation, final reaction look like C plus half O2 gives you CO, right? We deducted one, this minus this. So same thing, you can manipulate the Q value so that we can write simply that enthalpy of formation of CO is nothing but that there are two reactions which we from where we got this reaction. So that is minus 393.51. So this reaction minus the second reaction. So this value minus the second value. So that gives you enthalpy of formation of CO. So many times you may not have enthalpy of formation of some components may not be available, standard enthalpy. So you can find out some this kind of reactions where the enthalpy of reactions are available, which you can use it to calculate enthalpy of formation of that component. Second thing, enthalpy of reaction. So enthalpy of reaction, the definition of heat of reaction is that when you react reactants at given temperature and pressure, some temperature and pressure, to produce the final product after the reaction at another temperature and pressure. During this entire process, whatever the enthalpy change occur is called enthalpy of reaction. So now you have again infinite number of possibilities. This reactant T and P can be any value, and this final T and P requirement can be any value. It can be very different. So again, to tabulate this many data for so many reactions which are available, which are happening in industry, it's again difficult task. So what we do is again we take a help of standard condition. So we keep the data of standard heat of reaction for all the reactions. So it means standard means we assume that even though actual reaction is not taking place at this condition, this is the just for the calculation, enthalpy calculation purpose. So we assume that the reactants are available at 25 degree 1 atmosphere, and after the reaction, products are also remain at 25 degree 1 atmosphere. If that thing happens, then during the reaction, what is the change in enthalpy? That is called standard heat of reaction. And that you can simply calculate easily standard heat of reaction from standard heat of formation. So for example, this is hypothetical. The actual reactor, this does not happen in industry. Again, I remind you, this is only for enthalpy calculation. If you imagine that in industry, I'll put 25 degrees Celsius benzene in gas form and hydrogen 25 degree in gas form, I will get C6H12 in gas form, it doesn't happen. This is only for enthalpy calculation. So in this case, the calculation of this is you can carry out. So you have to write the reaction first to find out the stoichiometric coefficients, balance reaction, and then we need enthalpy of formation of each component. So in this case, we can simply write the enthalpy of reaction. Entire this reaction is nothing but the coefficient, each coefficient or number of mole. If you want to find out the total enthalpy, the moles are given, multiply by enthalpy of formation of product. So this is the product minus enthalpy of formation multiplied by the number of mole of reactants. So that gives you enthalpy of reaction, standard enthalpy of reaction for this particular case. So by chance, what they have done here is they have taken right now in the stoichiometric ratio that this is 1, this is 3, this is 1. So based on that, they have taken the values. And we know that as per the definition of standard enthalpy of formation, it is from the naturally occurring elements. So H2 is a naturally occurring element. It doesn't get formed from the H. H2 occurs naturally, so its enthalpy of formation is 0. So you can take H2, O2, N2, all those components, all those which occurs naturally, those all has delta HF values are 0. So one way to calculate enthalpy of reaction, standard enthalpy of reaction, is from enthalpy of formation. Based on, we have to take some basis that, okay, assuming this, in this case, we assume that 1 mole of C6H6 we fed. Right? Based on that, we calculated. So one reaction.
Sir, if we have substances that don't react, we don't put them in the equation, right?
Okay, that part will come
Like
back.
if you have certain moles that don't react.
Yeah. For example, oxygen is there and nitrogen is also there. So oxygen reacts. So enthalpy of reaction only for oxygen, not for nitrogen. Nitrogen will not be counted. Or you can remember here.
Okay, so
only
it's
react.
ignored completely. Yeah.
For example, H2, many times H2 comes with a CH4 as the impurity. So hydrogen there and methane is there, but methane doesn't take part in the reaction. So it's, you don't have to calculate, don't have to count during the delta H reaction calculation. It will be counted
So like
later.
if there's a combustion reaction, for example, and it has excess oxygen, we only include the oxygen that reacts, right? And then the rest of the oxygen isn't included
We'll
as
come
part
back.
of the
There are
calculation.
different ways to do that. I'll show you today only that how to account for that one. Okay. So, but anything doesn't react, it will not come in this calculation, delta H dot reaction. It will be there in other calculation because obviously nitrogen enters, for example, in the process at certain temperature and leaves at another temperature. There is enthalpy change. We have to account for it. So how to do that, we'll see. Okay. One equation you can, other way around, you can write it is this way. This is also easier, or this way, as you like it. See, all our equations are same, only the representation is different. Stoichiometric coefficient of product minus multiply by HF minus absolute value of stoichiometric coefficient of reactants multiplied by enthalpy of formation. Or you remove minus sign, then you remove the absolute sign from here. So you can put that summation of all the species or of stoichiometric coefficient multiplied by enthalpy of reaction. So this automatically takes care of the product is positive, reactant is negative value. This is the another way you can write it. Any one method you like, convenient, stick to it. You can keep that way. Or product minus reactant, then this must be positive. Okay, let's see this example. Calculate standard heat of reaction from standard heat of formation for this reaction. So reaction, sometimes they will only give you in the exam that ammonia react with oxygen. The products are NO and H2O. So first thing you have to write is this one, balance reaction. 4NH3, 5O2, 4NO, and 6H2O. Now we need the data, standard heat of formation, of all this. So we get the data, delta HF from reference book or from your table, from the textbook, it is available. So delta HF, and you have to choose a basis, that what basis you are using for the calculation purpose. If nothing is given here, you can start with any one component and assume that it is in a stoichiometric ratio. Right now, we are not talking about the excess part. Okay, that will come back in the next part. So here it's straightforward. So again, you use which method you like it. So here I have taken this 4 and 6 are the product, NO and H2O, it's enthalpy of formation. So product coefficient positive, plus reactant minus 5, O2, 0. So there's nothing. And a plus, this is minus 4. I have taken 4 as a minus 4 multiplied by its enthalpy of formation. So this is the standard enthalpy of reaction based on 4 mole of ammonia reacts. This is important. Based on this, you have done the calculation. Now, many a times, instead of, see, someone balance this equation and write the formula, instead of writing 4, 5, 4, 6 here, someone will write 1, 5 by 4, 1, 6 by 4. It's also correct. It's also balanced reaction. Or someone will write 8, 10, 8, 12. Also correct. So to avoid that confusion, many a times, if you see the enthalpy of reaction, standard enthalpy of reaction for this kind of reactions, the data are given per mole of one of the reactant or per mole of one of the product produced. So here, one more information you will find in many standard data is this one: specific enthalpy of reaction under standard condition. So that will simplify the representation. So there is no confusion here. Here you have to write that this is based on 4 mole of ammonia reacts. So to avoid that, you can just divide it by 4 mole. So that gives you per mole of one of the value. So you can divide by 5 mole of O2, you can divide by 4 mole of NO, or both divide by 6 mole of H2, anyone. That you can mention it here clearly. That this enthalpy, specific enthalpy of reaction under standard condition is minus 226 kilojoule per mole of ammonia react. Now you write your reaction in any format, it doesn't matter. As long as you know that, okay, how many moles are reacting. Based on that, you can calculate. So this is useful information, the last one, this one. Now your question comes. In the reactor, actually, ammonia flow rate is say 5 kilomole per hour. Then you convert this accordingly. Make sure you understand the difference between kilomole and gram mole. In some book, the data here, enthalpy of formation are given in kg per mole, and sometimes it's given kg per kilomole. So that you make sure you use the correct unit. And the flow rate is given, for example, that 10 mole of ammonia reacted, not fed, reacted. So if 10 mole of ammonia reacted, then simply multiply this by 10 mole, because it is also mole, you will get your enthalpy of reaction for that particular process. Now, next part. Now, your question. This is what we know, that it doesn't happen. You feed something, it will not react completely. Never, it doesn't happen. You will have like 98%, 95%, or sometimes even 10% conversion only. Or sometimes you have a lot of reactants in excess. So how to account for all this? So the formula remains same. Formula doesn't change. We have another formula for both steady state, unsteady state closed system or steady state flow system. We know that N out or N final is equal to N initial plus nu I into psi. And then we use this relation, Ni out and Ni in, we know this one, to put it into the enthalpy of reaction, standard enthalpy of reaction equation. So enthalpy of reaction, what does it say? So here we have number of mole of the product multiplied by enthalpy of formation of the product minus number of mole of reactants. It can be flow or amount, it doesn't matter. This one multiplied by is enthalpy of formation of each component. So in this case, if we substitute this number of mole of product is with this equation or this equation, you get this formula minus enthalpy of formation multiplied by the number of mole of inlet, each component's inlet rate, and you simplify this equation, you get this one. And if you see, verify this again, this is nothing but psi into standard heat of reaction of that particular case. So now your job is, during the calculation, just calculate this one. Forget about the how much reacts, because that part you can later multiply by the psi. Right? So psi, what does it represent? Psi represents number of moles reacting for a particular reaction. Once you have that information, that's it. you can use it here. We'll see today one example. Just multiply that psi with the standard heat of reaction. You will get your actual value of heat of reaction at 25 degree 1 atmosphere. So there are two values now. One is delta H dot reaction. That is under standard condition means as per this calculation we did here, as per this data. So you will get this value. Now you know that the psi of this process, it doesn't change. Psi is fixed. So psi of this process is given based on conversion or some other information. You can find out the psi. You can simply multiply that with this value. You will get your answer. And psi, you know that this we have done previously, that psi is equal to minus F into number of mole of limiting reactant in the feed. Now this limiting reactant written here as per that definition, but you have to make sure that whatever the reactant you take it here, for that conversion is given. That data you have to take only and divided by its stoichiometric coefficient. Right. We'll see examples so you get a better idea today. So it's straightforward that enthalpy of reaction, actual enthalpy of reaction, which is happening in the reactor at 25 degree 1 atmosphere, is equal to multiply by psi to standard enthalpy of reaction. Okay. Now, for example, we will have one more issue, that the temperature. Just now we talk about the last part. Only this temperature is 25 degree, both reactant and product. Now reactant at Ti, product at T. If you can, what one way we can do this one is that you know the enthalpy of all this, you know the enthalpy of this, you can find the difference. But finish, your process is over. But that is difficult to get. So what we need is, we need to go through a better, easier path, another path, which is where the data are available easily. So hypothetically, this is not the actual process. Again, in industry, this thing doesn't happen. In industry, this thing happen. But for the calculation of delta H, we'll go by this way. It's a longer way, but it's the way that you have the information which you can calculate. So first thing, we bring all the reactants at a given temperature Ti to 25 degree standard condition. And then hypothetically, all this reactant at 25 degree will react to give you the product at 25 degree. And then we'll bring this products which are at 25 degree to desired temperature T. So now you have typically this, you will have sensible heat change, delta T, temperature difference here. You have enthalpy of reaction, delta H of reaction, standard condition. And then you will get the product, which again you bring it back to desired temperature. So again, sensible heat change. Now this sensible heat only written here can be again complicated by adding a latent heat calculation. For example, I say that water is one of the reactant and it is available in liquid form. But where you calculate the enthalpy of reaction, those data are available, enthalpy of formation and all, where the water is in vapor form. Then you have to, this total delta H calculation, when you do it here, for water component, one particular species, that molecule, you have to calculate enthalpy change of water from liquid to vapor, as well as the temperature from given temperature to 25 degree. That two calculation will be additional. So that comes, this part, this much part is nothing but the enthalpy change without reaction that we have done in the previous part. All those 3-4 options we discussed, temperature change, pressure change, phase change, that you can apply it in this part. And once you get your reactants at standard condition, that's it, you react it, you have this data, you can calculate this and then bring it back to desired temperature, pressure and phase if required. Right, so here I can simply write this way, right? So if we assume there is no phase change here, we can simply write that enthalpy at 25 degrees Celsius minus enthalpy at given temperature of each component multiplied by its mole or molar flow rate plus enthalpy of reaction at 25 degree, whatever the actual reaction happens, plus here the remaining enthalpy change, that is from the given from the 25 degree to given temperature T, that's the enthalpy change. Now make sure that when we write products, it doesn't mean the product of the reaction. Products may contain unreacted reactant. It may be there. So when I say product, it means all the components which are leaving the reactor. It may contains unreacted reactant or inert, that you have to account for it. Okay, let's see this example. This is the big example where everything is given. So note down the number. Again, you can refer from the textbook also. There is one mistake in the textbook. I'll show you where the data they have given is misplaced. So first thing, understand this entire example. They have done it with two different methods. How to solve this one. So I'll read the problem first. So public concern about the increase in the CO2 in the atmosphere has led to numerous proposals to sequester or eliminate CO2. This is the major research going on this. Till date also is still going on. So an investor believes he has developed a new catalyst that can make the gas phase reaction in this way. So we can convert the CO2 into other useful product. So this reaction proceeds with 40% conversion of CO2. So this you have to remember that conversion is given for CO2. So when you calculate psi will be based on this calculation, this data. The source of hydrocarbon would be from the electrolysis of water using electricity generated from solar cell. Assume that 1.5 mole CO2 enters the reactor. So they have given the mole, the amount of CO2 actually enters in the reactor at 700 degrees Celsius together with 4 mole of H2 at 100 degrees Celsius. So this and this is your feed, which is fixed. You cannot change it. So that's your basis. Your problem starts here. That for 1.5 mole of CO2 and 4 mole of H2 fed the reactor at 700 degree. Now determine the heat of reaction if the exit gases leave at 1 atmosphere 500 degrees Celsius. So you want to find out what is the enthalpy change here in this case, and total enthalpy change from this conditions to this condition, including reaction of 40% CO2 conversion. So first thing, material balance, simple. So 1.5 mole enters, 40% get reacted. So 60% remains unreacted. So we make a simple material balance. 40% react means you have 1.5 multiplied by 0.4. Converted means 0.6 mole will react. So now you know that 0.6 mole reacts. 4 times of that this will react. 2 times of this 0.6 will be produced H2O, and a 0.6 mole 1:1 CH4 will be produced. So first thing, material balance and prepare table, like we have done the enthalpy table. So you will write what are the feed conditions, inlet, how many moles enters, 1.5 and 4 mole. There is no water, there is no CH4. And in the product, what are the number of moles left? So 1.5 mole of CO2 enters, 40% get reacted. So 1.5 multiplied by 0.6, 60% remains unreacted. So 0.9 mole of CO2 will come out as it is without react. Then remaining balance of 4 mole you can calculate how many moles reacted, remaining will come out, how many produce, how many this produce. Plus you need standard enthalpy of formation of all these components. So next thing, you note down one column of all the standard enthalpy of formation of each component. Moreover, if you can find the enthalpy of each components at this condition, 700, 100 degrees Celsius, 500, then your problem will be very easier. You don't have to use any of those calculation to find out integration, CPDT and all. So if you remember in our case, in the physical properties table, we have a table B8 where some data are available, though CH4 is not here in this case. So in case in the exam, if this enthalpy table in which one of the components are not available, it will be given separately. You will be given one more column with CH4 data, for example. Right? So in this case, you can see that you have H2 available, H2O, CO2, everything is available. And then you have the enthalpy data. So you can interpolate whenever data are not available straightforward. For example, 700 degrees Celsius available, CO2, H2O, all the data are given H2, CH4 is not there. 100 degrees Celsius, you have straightforward available, 500 degrees Celsius also available. So first thing, gather the data and prepare a table which look like this one. So you can write it in two ways. One is the mole in and out, one table. So that is material balance. 1.5 mole enters, 0.4 mole reacted, because this data will be useful in the enthalpy of reaction calculation, and then 0.9 mole comes out unreacted. Hydrogen 4 mole enters, 0.6 mole reacted, 1.6 mole comes out. And then one more column here of enthalpy of formation. And next columns here is, sorry, okay, use this one. So next column is where you have enthalpy of each component, delta H cap, with respect to standard condition. In this case, we have 25 degrees Celsius, the reference point is available. Based on that, each component's enthalpy. So in this case, for example, CO2. So in the problem, you look for the CO2. Where is it? It's here and here. It will be here in two cases. So here it is at 500 degrees Celsius and here at 700 degrees Celsius. So we need this data, CO2 data at 500 and 700. So you need only this and this data. So in the textbook, they have given this is misplaced here. This is wrong. So you can change it. This one is not here. It is just one column here. This is here. This is here. So you can write it down that the 20.996 at 500 degrees Celsius actually is CO2, and this is 30.975 at 700 actually. Other things are fine, right? So next thing, they have already found that hydrogen, what is the enthalpy at 100 degree? What is the enthalpy at 500 degree? H2O 500 degree, CH4 500 degree. So you see, you don't need this data. You don't need this data. You don't go and find this data. Don't do that. Don't interpolate or don't look for this data. Only look for the data at condition for that component which is required. So CO2 at 500, 700, hydrogen enters at 100 and leaves at 500, so 100 and 500. H2 and CH4 only here, which is at 500. So this two data. Okay. So first thing, enthalpy, standard enthalpy of reaction per mole of reactant CO2. So this is what we discuss. So we assume that this is 1 mole, here it is 1 mole, this is 4 mole, this 2 mole, and this 1 mole. This is the standard condition. So based on this standard enthalpy of reaction specific per mole of CO2 reacted, by chance it is 1 here. So there is no other division here. So you have product minus reactant. So you decide how you want to write it. Enthalpy of formation, product. So product, you have this 2. And the reactants are hydrogen and CH4. Hydrogen is 0, CH4 is this. So you got this value. Next thing, multiplied by the psi value. So you can go and calculate what is the value of psi. That is okay, that you have done previously, material balance with reaction. So psi is equal to minus F into NLR in divided by nu LR. So NLR in divided by nu LR, you'll be able to find out what is the extent of reaction psi. So that comes to 0.6. You can see it's again given in the textbook. So just multiply that, you will get the enthalpy of reaction. This particular reaction which is happening in the reactor is 99.16 kilojoule. So one part over. Standard conditions, enthalpy of reaction, actual enthalpy of reaction for the given conversion is calculated. Now we go and calculate remaining part. So remaining part is to bring this two things, CO2 and H2 at 25 degree. And once you get all the product, so these are the product, this one, you have to bring it back from 25 degrees Celsius to 500 degrees Celsius. And there is no phase change here, all are gas form. So it's simply sensible heat change. And in this case, sensible heat change, you can do it two ways. You can do MCP CP delta T, or if you have this data are available, you have the most convenient calculation. If you have this table is available, then you don't have to do any other calculation. This is available, then it's easiest. So we'll go and do that calculation. So here, first do for inlet, another outlet. So inlet, you have make a table of what is the flow rate or mole, what is the temperature condition, this is degree Celsius, 700 and 100. And for that, the delta H cap is given. This is available from the standard data. So 30.975 at 100 degrees Celsius, hydrogen enthalpy is 2.123. So when I write this delta H cap, means by default, I have selected a reference state for all the components, which is as according to the table in which the data are available. So according to table, reference state is 25 degrees Celsius. Right. So you use only one table for all the data. Don't use two different tables to find out this delta H table. delta H information. So for CO2 we got this. So H2 these are the kilojoule per gram mole, and the amount of substance given here also in mole, gram mole. So we get the delta H. So this is the enthalpy of the inlet which enters into the system. Okay, delta H. Second part, product. So product, you have number of moles are given. This is good because this is good practice because you write the temperature for each component. It may happen they will ask you that, okay, hydrogen is leaving at 300 degrees Celsius. Now you find out what is the enthalpy change. So better to write each component, write what is the temperature, and then write the value from the appropriate table, what is the delta H of that component. And then this is the delta H cap per mole, multiply by its appropriate mole, you get the total delta H, and make a total of this. So this is the enthalpy of the product from 25 to 500, and the previous one was at two different conditions. So here was 700,
So
and
how do we go from the third column to the final one?
final one multiplication. That's it. So this one, what is that? This one and this one. This is per mole data, and here is the total enthalpy change.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's it. Right. So this 30
Okay,
point
yeah.
something multiplied by 1.5, you should get 46.463. Rely on your own calculation. Huh? Sometimes there is some typing error here in the textbook. So this comes here. So make a total of the product. So this is the product enthalpy change. So we got feed inlet enthalpy change, product enthalpy change, and reaction. Three things we got it. Now we just have to use those three data. So in this case, what do you have? This is the product enthalpy minus inlet enthalpy change. Product minus feed plus due to reaction, whatever the enthalpy change occurs. So we have this information already, minus 99.6. Product enthalpy we calculated here, this one. Minus reactant enthalpy is this one. And plus adding the reaction, because of reaction, what is the enthalpy change occurs? That gives you the value of total enthalpy of this particular process per mole of CO2. So that's the final answer. You need three parts. Whenever you see simply when this calculation comes, you need three things. One is the first sensible heat change of feed. Second is the reaction at 25 degrees Celsius. And the third, product sensible heat change from 25 to 500. Okay, now same way you can carry out the process. They have given one more option here, that what we have done here, reactant at Ti, we bring it to 25 and then we react it. React means we are using enthalpy of formation, right, for the calculation purpose. And then we'll bring it back to original required temperature, T. Now, instead of this, they have given that you can use the direct calculation also. In that case, you can use the enthalpy of reaction at 25 degrees Celsius and this delta H, which is at 25 to T degrees Celsius. So you can combine these two formulas to simplify. You can do two ways. One way is, if you know the enthalpy of all the output, the product at given temperature, minus if you can use the enthalpy of all the reactants at a given temperature, you can directly use this information, which is included in the calculation. But sometimes this data are not available, then we can use the entire process for the calculation. So they have again done the same example with a different way. With enthalpy of formation is given, they have combined both the data now. Instead of doing the actual calculation of the delta HR, they have combined both of the data. So what they have done is, they have done this and this, they have taken it together, multiplied by 1.5. And this together, multiplied by 4. So they got the total enthalpy change of the reactant, including enthalpy of formation. So nothing but we, instead of doing delta HF calculation separately, they included in the reactant. And similarly for product, we have the delta HF values, all the product, and enthalpy of delta H of each component based on the temperature. This should be based on the actual the product temperature. And then using this and this multiply by this, they got the enthalpy of the product. This is another way which we can also do it. So you have the total enthalpy of product minus total enthalpy of reactant, you got delta H, which is same as before. This is the second method. Both are similar, there is no difference. I suggest you again read the textbook example first, and then come back if you have any still doubt. One more definition before we finish today, and then we'll do more practice tomorrow. So standard heat of combustion is treated separately because we have several cases where we burn something, right? So we have a lot of types of fuel. We burn with oxygen and then we get some energy. So that delta Hc is kept separately because that that calculation require in many places. We want to burn something in a furnace to produce heat, or we want to burn something in a boiler to produce steam, or we just want to carry out a heat exchange from the fuel to some other process. So we need to, or we want to quantify that how good is the fuel. So for that case, they have tabulated separately for each component, various components, what are the standard heat of combustion. So it is given as it is the heat of combustion of, or heat of reaction. Combustion means reaction with oxygen. To yield specific products, CO2 and H2O, with both reactants and product are 25 degree and 1 atmosphere. So again, this is hypothetical. Any component doesn't burn at 25 degrees Celsius. This is only for delta H calculation. So you have, again, just now we have seen the table. So similarly, you have this table in your book where you can find that enthalpy of combustion is given here. Only thing is you have to read what is this I and J, which are the note. You have to read what is the meaning of it. Because in some book, this data are given based on what product produce, CO2 and H2O, but in which phase. Sometimes they have given this delta HC cap data where H2O is in gas form, in vapor form. And in our table, actually, you have seen previously, the beginning, that this yeah. So here, this HC cap is given when the products are CO2 and H2O in liquid form. Based on that, they have given the data. So whenever this reaction takes place and you get the product H2O, it is in liquid form. That's what they assumed. So in case in your process, for example, you want to keep the H2O finally in the vapor form, then you have to add that enthalpy change in the final calculation. It means you take this delta Hc, do the calculation for the reaction, standard heat of combustion. That standard heat of combustion is based on assumption that your product contains H2O in liquid form at 25 degrees Celsius, 1 atmosphere. And then they said, okay, no, your final H2O is in vapor form at 90 degrees Celsius. Do the remaining enthalpy change, phase change calculation, sensible heat, latent heat change. Okay? So that one thing you have to check when you are doing the enthalpy of combustion. Okay, so here you can see that ethanol, for example, standard heat of combustion of ethanol is this much. So that gives you some idea about the, it's nothing but the reaction. So it gives you the idea about the quality of that, how much energy you can get it once you burn 1 mole of ethanol. So standard reaction is this, plus 3O2, balance reaction, 2CO2, 3H2O in liquid form. Now that calculation of heat of reaction, you can do that using heat of combustion. Like we used just now standard heat of formation to calculate the standard heat of reaction, you can also use standard heat of combustion to find out the standard heat of reaction, any reaction. Because as long as this all products, once you burn it with oxygen and you get the product, you can simply use that information to convert that data into standard heat of reaction. So the formula remains same, only difference is here it's negative sign, minus of summation of all the standard heat of combustion of each component in that particular reaction multiplied by stoichiometric coefficient. Right, so you can forget this because this is again same they are doing is absolute value of standard stoichiometric coefficient and then reactant minus product. In the case when you use standard heat of formation here, then this is positive. This sign is positive here. And when you use standard heat of combustion, this is negative. For example, just to, you can compare this using both methods, you will get same answer. So for example, you want to find out standard heat of reaction of this one, and you don't have standard heat of formation of this components. So if you know the standard heat of combustion of 1, 2, and 3 components, you can use this formula. So you can apply here, you have the standard heat of combustion from the table for this, and this are given. So you can simply here, coefficient is, this coefficient is 1 for the C2H6, right? So here it is actually -1. So they removed this minus and put it inside. And this is minus, this is minus. Right? They have already simplified this negative value they have taken inside. So this -1 becomes +1. And this is +1 becomes -1. And this +1 becomes -1. So using standard heat of combustion, you can do this one. If you want, you can verify this applying Hess's law. It means you write 3 equations, 3 separate reactions, which are the combustion reaction for each component. You write the combustion reaction for C2H6, combustion reaction for this, and combustion reaction for this, 3 reactions. And add and subtract them in such a way that you get your final reaction is this one. By doing that, you are doing this only, which you have done here. So you'll get your final answer. So this is another way in case you don't have standard heat of formation available. So here are the 3 reactions. And if you put it in correct way, you will get your answer. Everything else will be cancelled out automatically. And your final reaction will be C2H6 gives you C2H4 plus H2. Okay, now you can also use this to calculate standard heat of formation of some component, which is very useful. So for example, you want to find out what is the standard heat of formation of C5H12 from this 2, then you can easily find out by using the standard heat of combustion of each component. So here you have this one plus this one minus standard heat of combustion of this one. So you need again combustion data. Because why we are saying combustion? Because those instruments are available where you can easily and accurately measure heat of combustion. Right? We'll see some more examples on these 2 parts. So everything should be clear by tomorrow. In case you still have doubt in the calculation and you are not able to submit assignment tomorrow, you can submit it by Thursday. It's fine. By Thursday night, you can finish it and submit. If you have any other difficulty, please let me know. Thank you, everyone.
Sir?
Yeah.
So, sir, for a given question, if you have to calculate delta H formation, it's a choice, right, to use combustion enthalpy?
Yes, yes.
Or will it be necessary to use that?
No. It's up to you.
Okay.
See, delta HF value is normally given. If I ask
Yes,
in a
it's given,
particular
yeah.
problem, okay, you have to calculate. If I say only this is the problem just now we have seen, then you have to do that way. But normally delta HF is given. It's a standard data. Nothing.
And so for finding delta H each time, should we do CPDT integration or
No.
we can use that interpolation from that data given?
Table is easy if it is available, but if it's not available, you have
Okay.
to calculate CPDT.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So that problem, you figure it out?
The one which I asked you yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now I'm getting it. I'll try solving
Values may vary a little bit because of
Yeah.
their calculation, our calculation. It comes around that 30 to 30 something.
Oh, yes, sir. I didn't take 65 as the standard.
So
That's
just check that in your what is given in your book, and then you should get that.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank
If you
you,
have still doubt, let me know.
sir. Sure, sir.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.